You're still on to early business, and today we're looking at the Nigerian real estate sector. I have with me here to discuss issues arising from the pros and cons of the Nigerian real estate sector, you know, the positive part and the negative part of it. National real estate coach, his name is OVADJE Spark. You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
First of all, I need to ask, this is my first time of hearing, to somebody is a real estate coach. You know, I've heard about people who are business coaches, different kinds of coach, and even football coach or whatever coach. This is my first time of getting to meet and hear, a real estate coach. So what's your job all about?
Well, thank you so much for that question. A real estate coach. Look at the word coach itself, talks about trainer, someone that guides you. Now, we got a lot of people talk about how they want to start real estate, because what I do much is circle. It's a circle of so many things in the aspect of coaching. One, the coaching, the training of the consultants of real estate firms. Then the launching of reputable real estate establishments in Nigeria. I've been to 19 states doing real estate as a national. Now, see how it goes. When it comes to some areas that has to do with training and retraining the staffs of those companies, I do that. That's where I'm going. So you find me sometimes once in a while going to the site, ensuring that the signboards and some other things are there, and then also ascertaining that the marketing itself is on point, sales. And so that's what I do. Coaching real estate, we coach also the MDs of some areas. We guide them.
So we're training those who are actually on field, or those who are actually to be in that sector.
People that market, consultants.
Or the consultants.
Then the staffs. For instance, you got a front desk, you got people like the HR, you got some people, other things. Imagine a company telling you that they don't have a surveyor in-house, or someone is not there to help in the legal departments. These are the areas we deal with. The people that are coming up on board, and then they are just packaged or moneyless in suits. They are not really those guys that are supposed to be into development. Those guys, we try to take them out of there. That's why some of them end up in zone 2 and all that. That's what we do. That's real estate coaching. When it becomes national, because of interstate, is what I now started doing.
Okay. And how long have you been in this, doing all of this?
Quite a while. When I mean quite a while, part-time, 7 years. Full-time, 2 years. And that was why in 2017, when I started, now I remember that was in May. I first became a brand ambassador to Baronet Homes in a short time. Why? Because of half of the year, and the works was really, there were a lot of things I did. Pull up crowds, over 1,000 realtors in just a month, starting to sell off a particular property and all that. I became the best trainer of the year that year. My trainings were not just talk, practicals were involved. And then I started from the digital marketing part, traditional marketing, sales, coverage, management, and all that. Started doing courses, growing my own.
Now, let's come down to the Nigerian real estate before we go into these other things, digital marketing or whatever that surrounds the real estate market presently. How would you describe the Nigerian real estate market as it is right now in this 21st century?
Great. Well, we are going there. There's one particular stuff I say always. Yesterday was our independence. We will not be where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. However, there's a progressive state. Now, what I mean to say is this. Nigerian real estate is actually growing. And one of the major and largest one we're talking about now is the Dangote refinery. You see what is going over there. You see a lot of innovations and a lot of investments in Nigeria. Nigerian real estate is actually like a focus now in Africa. So that's my own sense. So we are quite on the positive side.
We're on the positive side. But people have complained about lots of issues arising from the estate market. Taking, for instance, these cities, Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and some other big cities around. There's the issue of land acquisition and the issue of payments, tax payments, and that is required from the realtors, and also the issue of the Omonile, especially in the southwest. What's your take on all this?
That's real estate security you're trying to get into now. Real estate security is actually key. And one of the things I've also observed in that area, well, I've been to those states, Abuja, Port Harcourt. The way it is in Port Harcourt is different from the way it is here. Like, for instance, you know, in Nigeria, we have different places, and different places also different sizes of plot for their full plot of land, different titles. For instance, in Lagos State, we have decision, government decision properties. We have land that are gazetted. That land, when the land is excised, this decision is published in the book of records, become gazetted, CFO, governor's council, and all that. That's that part. But you don't find those kind of titles sometimes, most times, in places like Abuja, like they use more of area of O. And then you have Port Harcourt, Greater Port Harcourt title, all those kind of funny titles.
Is it a state thing, or is it supposed to be a federal thing?
There's a federal concept behind all this. However, state has their own acts. There's a general land use act, actually. But you know, each state has their own kind of concept, what manages them and all that. That's why you don't
what
find,
is obtainable, so
yes.
what is acceptable by the people.
So you can never find a gazetted land, for instance, in Port Harcourt. It's not there and all that. Now, you talked about the Omonile. Let me not forget that. Now, the Omoniles are those, you know, people that are Omonile, means someone that owns the land, community people and all that. And see the good part of it now. The real estate companies have come on board to start eradicating real estate nuisance, issues like land grabbers. You see, people that have to start doing things that has to do with more. Say they are taking people's property. They go and stand somewhere as if they own the property, whereas they don't own it. So how then they would deal with all of these things? The only way they would deal with all of these things most times is the aspect of trying to now get real estate companies who buy the land, perfect the titles, ensure the documentation are in place, and then start selling. That's where we are now, generally. So we are eradicating all of this. However, there are still some other companies that are out there. May have not done their due diligence, but they are still in real estate. These are things I've actually understood in the short time. This business and all that.
I know they are trying to eradicate all this menace, you know, that is in the real estate that is actually hampering it. But there are issues also with building. You build a house, you know, build collapse and building on the wrong land and all these things, you know, and it is becoming a consistent challenge. So who you as a coach who actually have gone round many states and also many real estate establishments, to coach and or to also lecture them on how to run their businesses, what would you advise on the issue of where to build, how to build, and the right materials and also the right personnel to use?
I won't mention names, however, but let me say something. One of the issues we have in that aspect of properties being collapsing and all that is there's no proper feasibility studies. 1, 2. A lot of people want to manage equipment. They have a particular amount. Say, okay, this is our budget. This is our budget.
So just limit it, not considering the hazards that could cause.
And all that. So it causes an issue and all that. So we can work with those budgets. They don't do a check, the soil texture. They don't check to ensure some other stuff. The foundation, what kind of foundation is it? Pipe, foundation, all of these things have to be checked to ensure what is it a place that is waterlogged. Just you cannot compare. You can't build the same thing you build in Enugu, for instance, and build that on the Atlantic part. So there are two different land texture and all that. So these are the things that need to be looked into. Those involved, the building manager, the sites of all people that are involved in that. They have to be a proper record. However, I think the government has started putting this into check to ensure that all these are recruited and all that. Nigeria is doing great.
On land registration, the bureaucracy in that process seems to be very heavy. You know, after you register, you get a land. Some people have said so much about, I got this land today. I wanted to start building in the next couple of months. I go back to that place and the next thing they tell me that land is no more available. But I paid for it.
That's money, no issues. So that's the thing we're trying to eradicate. Money. You see one person, one family. This is how it happens because I've seen all these things before. For instance, in Ibejuleki means Ibejuleki, it's greater than Lekki. Look at it. What happened there was a scenario. A company went to acquire property, a real estate, a new one wanted to open. Now, when we got there, during the period of now trying to circulate us, cut our one part, surveying and all that, we found out that one of the head of the family, head of the home, the community, had sold a part
a portion
a
of the
portion
land.
of it. So when we're not trying to cut it out, it was a little bit difficult. These are issues that comes up most time. However, it can be treated. Nigeria has gotten into the area of trying to sort on and manage all these areas. That's why we say we should do our underground works and all that. Ascertain, checking securities and the land history, knowing much about it.
Don't you think there needs to be a synergy between the states and the federal governments, you know, on the issue of, and also the private sector, because there is more private people in the area of real estate and whatever. The government really don't have much, especially except on what the states provide on housing provision and whatever for the masses. Don't you think there needs to be a synergy with both the public and the private sector?
Definitely, there is recently, and they've always been anyway, but it's just that it's not really obvious. However, you know why? Because of the political stuffs and all that. People say sometimes, they say that getting these titles and all these things, some of them are political and all that. So I think there's a little part of that that is political, but I'm not saying it's politics. What I'm saying is that there's a certain push. I'm not calling it corruption. Certain push that have not made that too straightened. However, but it has been there, and they are still working hand in hand, the state and the federal, and so many. So you can see of and other titles and all that are strong, and they are coming together.
Let me go to the marketing now, the marketing point of view of this land. We see lots of people. Some take your. They go in vans, they go in different things, they send you flyers, they do all these kind of things. Well, how promotions and all this is happen?
Sorry.
How well do you think marketing should be when it comes to real estate, land sale, house sale?
Yes, very good question. This is my area. I love it. I used to say this thing, that every marketer is an actor. So if you find out that people want to go into marketing, the first thing they should identify themselves is that, am I ready for this business? Your first prospect is you. Sell it to yourself. However, there are so many forms. Like for instance, we have the guerrilla marketing. When I taught last
guerrilla
marketing, that's guerrilla. Guerrilla marketing. That's to do with street marketing. There are parts of it that has to do with astroturfing. We have the stealthing. We have the part that has to do with so many kind of types. Storm marketing. So many promotions around traditional marketing, digital marketings. But most times, a lot of people have neglected the traditional marketing. Because if digital marketing will give you deals, like we all say, traditional marketing will help you manage them. Let me explain what I mean by that.
First, what's the traditional marketing?
It's an ancient kind of marketing.
Hand to hand?
One-on-one. I call it the ozone cube. Always for a tree. One-on-one kind of marketing. I meet you, I give you the flyer. Now, the thing is not just giving the flyer to somebody, marketing somebody. You need to understand that sales is psychological. And if it's psychological, you don't just walk up to someone and say, good morning, man, then giving him a flyer. You need to get in there. I just look at you, wow, nice tie, and all that. And I've entered into you, and I can communicate. And once in a while, they do a research. A lot of people are marketing people, but they don't know they are being researched. Imagine someone calling me on the phone, and from the true caller, I was telling me it was scammer. You can see consultants and realtors, marketers, they don't look into those areas. Now, where am I going? There are so many mediums to use for marketing, but first of all, put yourself together before you go ahead for marketing. Market yourself, chew it, and be ready to act. Because marketers are actors. And all that is my own principle and philosophy of marketing. So many, forget the skills, too many skills. Work on yourself first. Because people buy people, it's not product.
People buy people and not products. Okay, they first of all buy into the person who is selling the product.
They look at you.
They look at you and say, okay,
assess you.
is this guy, can I buy from this guy?
Yes, you can say that again.
And then, okay,
how
they
you
are able to
communicate
accept the guy, they will be able to accept the
somehow.
product.
That's a way of playing the psychology of sales. SBS.
So, but do you think there is through, because you know, recently there was this news in the papers, you know, about some realtors who actually have, you know, went out of their way to dupe people, you know, after telling them selling portions of land to them and all this, and they had them see that. So how do you regulate, or is there any form of regulation or policy guiding against people just going into the business And yes, they can actually go set up, register the name of the company or whatever. How do you regulate, or how do you guide against those kind of things?
That is one of the things I have been thinking in Nigeria. That needs to come up. We don't have a particular country that is managing that somehow yet fully. In that sort of that area of telling, okay, you want to set up to company, okay, this is a community you must follow. These are the principles, these are the rules and all that. Nobody's saying that. We just come up. But however, individually, the company themselves have been seeing to that somehow. But you cannot still tell. You never can tell who is who. Or what do I mean by that? Becoming a consultant with a real estate company requires to fill a form. And then nowadays they're giving people ID card, so you don't just go and stand. Some of the estates are being secure.
Let me cut it short there a bit. We need to go for a very short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with that. It's still talk time on the early business show, and we're here first time shooting with to assess the pros and the challenges in the real estate sector. And I've been speaking with OVADJE Spark, a national real estate coach. The show continues in a bit. Welcome back. We're still on to talk time on your early business show, and we've been discussing the real estate sector in Nigeria, its pros and its challenges. And OVADJE Spark is still here with me. Now, we're talking about marketing and the issues surrounding it, and some people who have come out to front themselves as land marketers. You meet somebody, oh, you want to buy a land, this and that, or whatever, and at the end of the day, you are either duped or you are sold a wrong land, or something just happens. Or sometimes even people go ahead of buying the land, building on it. At the end of the day, somebody comes and say, that is my land that you just built on. And then it causes a case court. There are issues all around that. And whatever. So many things happens. So how do you cope of this menace?
Good question. My advice on most clients or prospects, people there that want to buy properties, is to do a search. Even if one wants to go and register a company, you just a search. So you want to buy a property, check out the land history. You want to put in 5 million naira to something, check out the land history of that particular property. And then, however, it's good, people that want to buy properties, go to their offices. Be sure, does he have a website? How genuine is that real estate firm? The things like all this. Then the land itself, do they have testimonials? I mean to say, testimonials. What are the things on ground? Because people are buying properties and it's because they are buying from money. However, there are some they may be trusted, but I don't feel that you should trust those guys. You should go through a company and buy through them. Legal. Who was your lawyer? They didn't do their home check, or maybe they also right to sell that. Then they should be arrested.
There should be a KYC of all this.
All of this.
Well. But some of us are just getting to know some of this, and some who have lost millions. Well, now coming back to land acquisition and some of the challenges facing land acquisition in Nigeria and also building in Nigeria, one of the facts that have been raised is taxation. The federal collects its own tax, then the state comes with another tax. Then some other groups will come with another type of tax. Then your monile comes with its own tax too. And your monile is so terrible. They charge you for foundation, the roofing, the lintering, almost every other thing that you need to put on that land. They will charge you for that. In all of this, what's the future of Nigerian real estate?
Like I said earlier the other time, most of these companies, you see, they have done all those homework. So it is easier for people like us that sell real estate companies. Those lands, for example, in Bejleki, the one in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, when I was in Enugu, Owerri and Adamawa, all those other places, all of these things, all of those properties that have been sold, the companies has done their own. They paid all this money there. So when you are building your estate, you don't pay roofing. All those things they call in Lagos. You pay for the roof when you are roofing, you pay for foundation, you don't pay all those stuff. That is saved. So most time, I think it's best to put it this way. My own rule. When you buy through a real estate company, for instance, they have done all those other parts. You don't pay to government, you don't pay any other thing again. the company, they are the one head responsible for other payments, other tax and other areas. But you're talking about its reduction. I feel they are working into that area, and this is something that it is a body that will manage that area. I don't have an oversee, like something like an overall conclusion on that analysis. However, but I feel it will be positive because there are a lot of people that are involved in real estate. Real estate now is looking as if it's pure water being sold on the road and all that. A lot of people are getting into it and all that.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of people are getting into it, and a lot of money is being invested in the real estate sector, but yet we are still short of the housing deficit. There's still a housing deficit issue. You know, that's not so, yes, cause you know, so many people still don't have houses out there. So many people are still lacking credible shelter, and some of the things that is looked at as being a challenge. There is the cost of materials, cost of land, you know, access to those areas, like access to the location where these places are going to be, and a whole lot of other things. As somebody who has been in this sector now for some time, and who has actually gone around to see CEOs, managers, and realtors in the area, what is your opinion on the redevelopment of the housing sector in Nigeria?
Great redevelopment. So I think what I feel, most of the chairmen, those people that claim to be developers, if I check, I found out that many of them are not schooled. You don't just wake up one morning and just assume that because you got 5 million or you got 50 million, you just put up a structure or you acquire something. You don't know much about it. They should be schooled. That's why I'm suggesting or advising. There should be a body that addresses all these real estate companies. There should be a body that manages every one of them. So at the end of the day, everybody is put on check. And then nothing again is cost. Why are we selling a property that people cannot afford? So these are areas. And if all this are put in check, there's a body that manages them, then nobody will just come up one day and just assume something and all that. That's actually it's actually in progress anyway. You never can tell. That's my own say. I feel that's my own part. They should have a particular body or a group of people that manages and oversee that area of the area of the aspect of what real estate development.
Okay, because
very important and all that.
Most houses around this Lekki, Aja, or them, you find out that some of that are in an estate, little micro estates, mini estates, major estates, and all of that. And all these are managed by different estate agents or estate companies. Yes, all of them are managed like that. But in some other areas, it is just people, you know, people who are building, you know, I can build and face my building that way. You build and face that way.
Concept and then,
you know, all these things. It shouldn't there be, we talked about synergy now between the public and the private sector. Shouldn't there be a medium where all these things come in, you know, you go to some other climes like in Ghana and some other places, you see planned buildings, you know, where people can stretch from here more than 100 buildings, and people are living. There are access to roads, there are hospitals, there are, you know, playing fields, there are markets, there are all these things, and all these things are planned. Can't it be like that?
Yes, it can. However, it's available already in Nigeria. We have something like that in Port Harcourt. I saw that recently. We also have that in Lagos. We have other estates. I don't want to just mention names of companies. We have all these things already. It's just that there are not many.
Is it that there are not many, or is it that there is no, you know, if the private and the public comes together, don't you think that can be achieved?
Definitely, that can be achieved. But however, and that is, like you said, comes together. They should agree. They should agree. When they agree as touching that particular, just like Bible said, it should come to pass. Now, what I'm saying is this: the cost factor. So many things are involved in ascertaining this. Imagine we planning that, okay, well, you know, drainage. There's one thing that is called development levy in real estate developers now. development levy. Now that development levy is an amount, it's a fixed amount. They used to do these drainages, put the lighting. You just imagine in a community whereby they don't agree to pay. You can see
they don't agree to
they didn't pay, and they have bought all their lands. That particular estate cannot be developed. That's also what is happening to some estate, that you find out that water is just everywhere. You see somebody as big as he is, as rich as he is. You find that when he wants to drive out his own car, he gets a particular part of the street and he's just touching his close to the bonnet and all that. So these are areas.
Because I used to walk.
May not really be his fault. Maybe one of the residents.
I used to walk around Lekki, phase one, some time ago, and during the raining season, there was this time, and we were to leave the office. It was raining, and it was time for close, so closing period, and wanted to go home. We couldn't go home for several hours, just waiting for the water to
come down,
a bit. Some of us, it ate us up above our knees, and it wasn't funny because you see buildings, lovely buildings all around, but poor drainage system.
That's right.
Poor access roads and all that, and people have to trek for distances, park their vehicles, and have to trek out of the area, just to get to where it's dry and then take a bus home or whatever. So all these things calls for an urgent attention.
That's right.
From the government. But also, it calls for the sensitivity of those who are actually on ground. That is now the realtors, those who manage these estates, those who...
The developers.
The developers themselves.
I said they have to be schooled.
Yes. So, your path that is your part now. How do you come in there?
That's what I've been doing recently. I'm going to have what they call staff trainings from time to time. And there's some companies that have signed up already. Recently, after my award last 2 weeks as the top national secretary in Nigeria, I came up with something kind of like a restructuring. Now, in that particular class, it was going to take about 3 days for each of the firms. The proposal, most of them have been awarded and all that. As to train those guys, and then let us talk as one. Let's imagine what we are saying we are going to build. Let's be more real and look at it. What is going on? Then we found out recently, that was last week, found out that the development levy was even more than the cost of the land. So we're trying to, yes, it was about going to about I think it was 1 million naira. I think 1.2 there, but they cut it to 1 million naira, and the land was about 650,000. You understand? So the client.
So now who does that fall on? The clients.
The client pays all these stuff. So we're looking at how can we get this.
Isn't that astronomical?
The reason I quite agree with developers in that area. Why? Because imagine you're staying in a house, a 5-bedroom, and you paid about maybe 1.8 million. Don't be surprised. You can have 5 million naira things inside it. So it means it is not about the cost of the land; it's about the development on the land.
So it is not about the cost of the land.
So those people should be schooled also. That's why I now brought in what they call the landlord association meeting. That's the LAM. So when you bring those people together, they are now being schooled. But the directors themselves, the developers, they have to be first schooled. Then we'll bring in so that everybody can agree. Because that's the private sector and then the public sector. So we can join our hands together and ensure that we really give and deliver an estate that is defined.
That is defined. Well, I see your job is quite big. But then let's look at the cost of things also. We know now that the naira to the dollar is like a toddler to an adult. You understand? So with the naira continuous fall, against the dollar, do you think it has any effects on the sector?
Yes, it does. I think that's one of the things that happened to one of the real estate companies that had an issue when they were developing. They had got materials, had a contract with the company to supply. Now, because of the fact that the dollar rose up that period, that was about that was about 5 years ago. That was what now caused an issue with what we had that there's some assignment.
Because they already ordered for something at a particular amount.
And all that. So it does affect. However, all of these things now we know we should factor them in. I don't think there's anything that will be so high that we can still be factored in. The developers should be ready to make sacrifice. Why? To keep their name. Your name.
How do you mortgage banks? I know in some climes mortgage banks work effectively. You know, I can just go to a mortgage bank and say, bank, please, I would like to build a house in the next 1 year. I would like to own a house in the next 1 year or in the next 2 years. And my mortgage banks help me to plan my finances and then savings to that effect. Do you think that's obtainable?
Those things has to start. Those things were there long ago, but it has gone down, unlike then. So I feel with the little development from the CBN and all that, so I feel everything will come back to normal. Everything will come back to normal. Nigeria is going to become beautiful and fantastic. I say it.
Let me believe you there. Well, anyway, we'll come to the end of this segment. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. OVADJE Spark, a national real estate coach. Maybe sometimes you come and coach us too on how to do all this. And it's still your talk time, and the early business continues in a moment.